Supplemental math videos from Circle Christian School.
Mean, median, and mode. Where's the middle? Descriptive statistics give information about the center, the spread, and the shape of the data. The relationship between the center and the spread is very important. If the range of grades between two students for tests that were taken are both 85, who really did better? Checking out the measure of dispersion, the spread, does that for us. Here's some key vocabulary. The mean is the average. Generally, you'll see it as a X with a line over it. The median is the absolute middle. What you do is you kind of go back and forth from the front to the end with your data in order of accession here, meaning from the smallest to the largest, and you just start crossing out like so. Front, back, front, back, front, back, until you get to the middle. If there's two numbers left in the middle, you find the middle of the middle. Frequency is how many times does something happen. It's also known as the mode. For instance, in one of the problems here, you'll see that they had 33 dinners on 30 different nights. The count would be the 33 would be the mode, the frequency that happened on all those nights. Range is the difference between high and low. Sometimes you have to find just the absolute range between high and low, and other times you have to find the range between the interquartile. We'll talk about that when we get to the box and whiskers. Standard deviation, the difference between the mean and the spread. It has that kind of funny looking O. Now there are two types of standard deviation. There's a sampling deviation, which is called an S, where whatever you get from your calculator for standard deviation, you need to subtract 1 from it. And then there's a population deviation, which is exactly what your calculator does for you. You can read in the book there about how those two different numbers come up here. Another way to measure what is happening with data, a very good way to measure it, or a common way to figure out the spread, is to use a box and whiskers. Now with a box and whiskers, your data is broken up into 4 quartiles. First you have your low and your high, and then you find the median, the absolute middle of the data. The first quartile is made of the median of the first half of the box and whiskers, and then the third quartile is the median of the second half of the box and whiskers. So it kind of goes low, median, median, the absolute middle median, then median, median, and then the high number. That breaks the data up into percentages, beginning with 0%. First quartile is 25%. Second quartile represents 50% of the data. Third quartile, 75% of the data. And then the high number is the fourth quartile of the 100%. There's also a thing called outliers. Outliers are just way out there data that would change your main part of the data if it's included. But it's so kind of out there that it may be best not to include it because it's just strange. You can also notice that there are different letters or symbols for both a sampling and a population of the mean. The mean has the X with the line over it. If it's a sample, if it is a population, a certain population, it has this cute little U. Standard deviation, basic standard one is S, and then if it's a population, it has a funny little O. For the moment, I'm just going to walk through some important keys that are used on your calculator here. The The first important key is actually the stat key, the red key there that I have, STAT. That's the one that you use to edit and put your data into line 1. Then, once you put your data in, if it's not already sorted in an ascending order, meaning from lowest to highest, you can set your calculator to do it for you. You just go into Stat again. The second command, I think, says Sort A. Go down to it. It'll go into your screen. And then you pick line 1. Line 1 is over here, up above the number 1. And if you take a look, line 2 is above the 2, line 3 above the 3, so forth and so on. The next thing that you're going to use is maybe possibly the list, which is second key stat. And you're going to go into the math category, because that's where you can take all the data that's in your line 1 and find things like the mean, the median, or a population standard deviation. Just remember, sometimes they take a 1 away from it, depending on whether or not they're doing a sampling or a population. You'll be able to tell when you look at the back of the book whether or not you should have taken a 1 away. After that, the next important key, and this is for your box and whiskers, once you've put some data in, is to use the Y equals button and turn your stat plot on, your statistics plot on. So that's second Y equals. You're going to go inside to the first plot there, turn it on, just cursor to it and hit enter, and then cursor to the graph that looks like the box and whiskers. It's the second one, not the first one. And you just cursor that on. Next thing you need to do before you can look at your box and whiskers is to set a good window. Generally, the minimum X number is going to be a little bit less than the lower number. A maximum X will be a little bit higher than your highest number. The scale will be your choice. Sometimes it's handy to count by ones, and other times it may be handy to count by 5, 10s, or even hundreds. And then, just so that you can see the box and whiskers, just keep your Y minimum at 0, your Y maximum at 10, and the scale at 1. You hit graph, you'll be able to look at your box and whiskers, and by using the trace button, you can find the quartile numbers. The little blinky spider will tell you what is the lowest number, what is the first interquartile number, right to the middle, the median, then the upper quartile number, and then the highest number. And when they ask for a range between the interquartile numbers, they're talking about the first quartile and the third quartile, that box part. Okay, hope this helps.